Hey, what's happening? Episode 125. I am Shaine, and I'm not alone. I have a plethora of guests. So I'm going to go, in terms of the visual, if you're watching this, we're going to go clockwise. So first, we have the guy who's also named Shaine. So he's automatically the best person here. And also, apparently, he has the best voice in podcasting. I don't know who decided that, but I guess according to three people, he has the best voice in podcasting. Mr. Shaine Hazel, how are you doing?
Optimus Prime here. Really glad to be here. Thank you very much. Appreciate you having us.
All right. And next, we have one of the three best Lions of Liberty podcast hosts, and also the guy who I think he was at the Libertarian Party Pennsylvania convention. I'm not 100% sure what happened there, but apparently he was there. John Odermatt, how are you?
I'm good, man. Glad to be here. I was at the LP convention, and so was Shaine. I met Shaine in person. That was cool. And was happy to be here tonight and talking with you guys.
Nice. And so continuing clockwise, we have the only one here who, as far as I know, his real name isn't out there, which is probably for the best. But he's also another one who's bald. So he's three people here that are bald, and he's one of them. The man from Fritzcast. How are you doing?
I'm good, man. And while Fritz might not be my legal government name, I don't think anybody out there actually cares about that. So good to be here.
And last and certainly not least, and I swear this isn't because if you're watching this, I'm not even going to mention this because hashtag Pride Month. He is the host of Thank You for Your Servers. And I think he's a Fed, but I'm not 100% sure. We'll keep it on the down low. Thaddeus Preston, how are you doing?
Thank you for having me. I appreciate you being in such excellent company, man. Shaine, I'm a fan. John, I'm a fan. And Fritz, I've never met, but you be spitting hot fire on Twitter. So again, it's a pleasure to be on with you guys. No doubt.
All right. Well, thank you again for joining me and for being a part of this. So the reason why I invited you on is because I don't know if you guys know about this thing. It's called being a dad. I'm going to become one really soon.
All right.
And so I guess this is me basically asking for advice, I suppose, and what it's like, because this is completely new territory for me. I don't know what's happening. I'm shaking and shivering in my boots here. So I guess just
now is not the time to fear. Fear.
Yeah, you should have thought of this shit a long time ago.
Hey, come on. We all have time to. You're right. You're totally right. I should have thought about this a long time ago.
It's too late now.
Yeah, it's too late. But anyway, I also kind of wanted to ask you about what it's like having a family, especially during all this COVID stuff that's happening, because apparently now I see kids with masks on, and I mean, I don't know. I don't think that's pretty healthy, I would think. So again, we can kind of go clockwise, like we did in the intros, to kind of just go over how it's been during these last 15, 16 months or so, kind of being a dad and everything like that. So Shaine, you can go ahead.
Yeah, man. I actually moved twice during this shutdown, this government tyranny drop. We got up into the mountains and out of suburbia, and we homeschool. So a lot of stuff didn't change. Some grocery trips changed going into town and everything. But really, I think it's a testament to the idea of being self-sufficient for the most part, trying to homestead and do those things where, it really doesn't matter what the outside world was doing. So I think, the kids have done pretty well. First time really out and about in public was yesterday at Six Flags. And, it was different. It was cool to be back out with them. But, the shutdown for these guys has really been an education in terms of what the state's doing. And it's funny, if you talk to kids and just plain language, I do, and they get it. and they want to talk about it more. So it's been good too, because I haven't traveled. Traveling for a living, I've been at home for the most of the past year and some change now, and it's been very different but very cool.
And John.
Yeah, so I don't live, off in the mountains like Shaine does, but live in the suburbs of Pittsburgh, and have one daughter, a 5.5-year-old, and we were lucky that her preschool, the church we go to, they stayed open the whole time. They closed down like at the very beginning, 2020 March, when everyone thought we were gonna have bodies stacking up in the street, but this past school year they were open and very flexible with the kids did have to wear masks at times when they were inside, but they tried to get them outside as much as possible, and then they could just run around and take their masks off. But like I like what Shaine said. Kids really they want to know what's going on, and my daughter's asking me, is the virus over yet? Is it over yet? I mean, almost every day, and I'm like, well, I mean, that's a complicated question. I mean, it's really never going to be over. It's a virus. It's always going to be here. But at the same time, it's not really the virus. I'm explaining to her about, it's the government. It's the governor of Pennsylvania that has shut businesses down, which is why we can't go out to restaurants. And it really challenged me on, really explaining these things in a way that a child can understand it. And it almost helps me to understand it better, honestly, and communicate better what's happening. But it's been tough in a lot of ways, in that when you're dealing with, when you have a young kid and they have friends and those friends have parents, and the parents are going to react differently to the virus. And that throws a whole nother wrench into things. Why can't we go over so-and-so's house and play with them? And now it's even getting crazier now with, not to get too far down the road, but with vaccinations. We're not vaccinated, so there's some of her friends, which, and I'm sure this is going to get even more so like this, they are vaccinated and we won't be allowed to see them. And so it's a mess, but hopefully, I don't have high hopes for this getting much better with the unvaccination anytime soon, but hopefully it does in a couple of years and we can return to some form of normal society where people just talk to each other and don't worry about if somebody has a jab in their arm.
And Fritz?
Yeah, so kind of to piggy off of what Shaine said, I took advantage of this crazy housing market and I got out of the suburbs, and I moved to a little farmette, like 1.1 acre plot of land. And so my wife and I are doing a lot of homesteading planning and projects and all that. And, having a young daughter, my daughter is going to be turning 2 in September. It's been very, very rough trying to deal with that with a very, very young child, because they don't understand what's going on. They see a bunch of people with masks on. They don't get it. They can't see people's faces, and I think it's a huge hindrance on like their social development and their social skills, for real. I've been fortunate that my family and my wife's family, they're relaxed. They're cool. We've still gone and visited each other. We've still had family events. There's been no taboo on that for us. But one of the things, I guess, that really like opened my eyes and made me a little bit more of maybe a Shaine Hazel radical is my daughter was in daycare for a little bit. My wife was doing college classes. I was working full time. So it was like 2 days out of the week, my daughter was in daycare, and this mess started happening. And then there was an outbreak at the daycare, so they shut down the daycare. And then all of a sudden, I'm getting phone calls from like the Department of Health and Human Services asking me if my 1-year-old daughter has lost her sense of smell or taste. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, drop the cue card. I don't want you to call me. I have a doctor for her. I'm good. But there they are. And they're like, well, we still want to touch base. We say, would you prefer phone calls or text messages? Nothing. I don't want to hear from you. I'm good. So that's been kind of like an eye-opening experience. And it's made me forward think. I haven't had to deal with, the schooling, the public schooling at this level, but, I've already known my feelings on public schooling anyway. And it's really put me in the seat where I'm thinking a lot about my daughter's future development and any, potential future kids that I have, what kind of plan I want to move forward with them. Not just because of what happened with this, coronavirus and pandemic and all that, but just on a grander scheme of, do I want them going to these cookie cutter, government controlled things, or do I want a more of an open mind,
Thaddeus?
Well, my experience is probably a little different than most of you guys. But most of my kids are grown, for all intents and purposes. So I have 5, all girls, 4 of which are adults. And the 3, 2 of them are mine, 3 of them are foster kids.
You're amazing. You're my new hero.
So the only one who I unfortunately had still in the government school system is my youngest, who graduated a week ago. But her junior year was destroyed. Her senior year was absolutely wrecked until the teachers union were told that if you won't get federal funds, if you don't bring them back to school for standardized testing. That happened back in March. The whole thing is I have been ranting and raving at my daughters in the vein of Sowell, Rothbard, and Rush Limbaugh for the last 20 years. Or really, I guess the oldest is 20 of mine, and the oldest is 25. And I've been telling them for a very long time that this is what the government does when it oversteps. Remember who did this to you. Remember who took away your prom. Remember who took away your homecoming. Remember what they did to you. And I think it's really hit home for them, a lot of them. So I got grandkids, 2 and 1 on the way. And they were the ones who got me and my wife sick. So, we have antibodies, baby, and the disproportionately screwed up sense of taste and smell. And, I don't encourage any of them I would encourage my daughter to not let any of them get vaccinated. It's unnecessary. They're 7 and 4 respectively. And yeah, it's been an eye opener for me. In the desert Southwest, it doesn't get as crazy as it got on the coasts. There's small towns and hamlets that didn't necessarily defy things, but people just kind of did their own things. We created our own play dates for my nieces and nephews and my grandkids. And so it was somewhat normal. I mean, I'm not a big fan of putting masks on them when they come over here. That's not what happens. But that's really what's been going on. And that's just been what I've been preaching to the older children. It's just this is what happens when people overreach. This is what happened. Lives get destroyed. Places get shuttered. Your schools were reluctant to even come back until a metaphorical gun was held to their head in the form of federal funds. So it's not about you. And I'm just thankful that I graduated my last one from my public school system. On another note, the entire school board of my district was subsequently suspended. The entire school board was suspended for corruption a week after graduating my senior class. So that goes to show you what we deal with here in the land of enchantment.
Wow. I mean, he's got a whole plethora of problems over there.
New Mexico is hot garbage, which is why we try to. It is us in Mississippi in a running gun battle when it comes to education, poverty, and a lot of things. Which is why I'm glad I no longer have kids in the system. I'm lucky. We make big bombs here, and we test big bombs here, and it gives me a pretty good job. So I'm going to stick around until such time as I find something better to do, or that Joe Rogan money comes through for the podcasting I do. So.
It's like that Spotify deal, right?
Yeah, nah, man. Just wait for the Spotify deal. Hell, man, I'll even sell out to YouTube if they're. I mean, I'll lick the boot, bro. I'll even simulate taking the jab if you give me some money, bro. It's all about y'all get paid at this point, because this is crazy. This should have taught everyone to get a side hustle. This should have taught everyone to particularly my kids, you probably need to. Yeah, go to school if you can. Go to school if you can afford to, but you might want to get a trade and a hustle, something that isn't non-essential is the words the term I couldn't stand hearing. As many people were put out of work, particularly my other daughter, who was like a waitress who just hasn't been able to go back, who's only recently been able to go back to work after a year.
Yeah, it's crazy. You just mentioned the whole essential versus non-essential, and you're kind of talking about how the government is basically just kind of picking and being like, okay, you're essential, you're not essential, so you can go fuck yourself. You're also not essential, so you can go jump off a bridge. It's basically kind of what it was like during all this whole shenanigans they're doing. And so one of the things that I've been thinking about is, like I was saying before, when everyone was making fun of me about how I wasn't thinking about, oh my God, I'm gonna have a kid soon. You're all laughing at me because I'm a crazy person. But one of the things that I've mentioned on the show before, and just something that I've been thinking about, is the fact that because we're having a son, he's basically going to have to sign up for the military. He has to. I mean, like at least not South Korea, where I guess it's not like you have to do at least 2 years. It's not something that he can, I guess, not sign up for the military, but just like at 18, he has to do
selective service.
Yeah.
Selective service stuff. Yeah.
Which who knows? I mean, they're pushing now to do for everyone to have to do some sort of mandatory service.
It's the goddamn wrong direction, isn't it?
100% wrong direction.
It's like, hey, no, not the girls too. No, just not the guys.
It's all about equality, though. So we got to make sure the women get
equality the other way, right?
You wait until they actually have to, right? You wait until there's, this equality thing is taken to its logical conclusion and they got to get dragged to the battlefield, or they got to see death and they got to do destruction and stuff like that. I always tell women and girls in particular, because I'm the old man, like, do you really, there's a warrior caste in our society who are the men we train to put aside their humanity to go do what needs to be done. Do you really want that power, right? Even when I say that about abortion, do you want the power to take life? It is an awesome responsibility and it will weigh on you forever. And they seem to just be a lot of women who just want to go like head first into that stuff. And I'm just like, all right, more power to you. We can fight in the same foxhole, but understand, like, you're not going to be the same person. And I don't know, maybe that's just my kind of conservatism sneaking out sometimes when I'm just like, I don't know if I want you on the battlefield, like laying down suppressive fire. But I mean, if that's what you want to do, but understand what that is, but I'm the old man. So
are you saying there's a difference between men and women? This is blasphemy. What is this?
Having it's like this. This is one thing you will learn, Shaine. There is a difference. My grandson and my granddaughter are two different people, right? My girls have always been very cool, calm, collective. You can tell them to sit down. You can put a toy in front of them, and they're cool. My grandson, I'm surprised he hasn't killed himself. It's just like, what are you doing in the rafter? Why did you just jump from the 8th floor down there? And then you're giggling because you didn't break anybody. They're crazy. Boys bounce everywhere. They just energy, just pure energy. Yes, there is a difference.
Is it like that SNL sketch with Will Ferrell when he keeps telling his kids to get off the shed? Get off the shed! How many times I gotta tell you, get off the shed?
Every day, man. Every damn day. Twice in the same hour sometimes. It's ridiculous.
I guess
like you're going to hurt yourself. Boom, you hurt yourself. And then don't cry at me. Don't cry at me because you hurt yourself. Man up, put some dirt on it. And the little girls are just like, here's a toy. Go off and do something. And they will do it. I mean, they'll organize it. I mean, they're very well. I mean, they know what they want to do. And you can just leave them be, and they can do what they want to do, right? And I'm just, I just never noticed that with my son.
My daughter vacuumed both of our cars yesterday at 5.5.
Whoa! Wow!
She likes it. We didn't make her do it.
She's already getting into those gender roles, just vacuuming the car and
making pies.
She's making sandwiches.
He's got a point.
Oh, he said it. He said it. Damn it.
He's got a point though, because
We
my
heard an
daughter,
echo
even though
on someone's track. I don't know.
yeah, there is an echo coming through, but my daughter at almost 2 years old, she wants to, like, if me and my wife are doing something, she wants to be helping hands. Like if we're cleaning up, she'll start cleaning up, and it's so weird because I'm like, you're a kid, what are you doing?
Well, I guess it's better that they're cleaning than doing something completely ridiculous, I suppose. You know, they're not hurting themselves.
Jumping off a shed.
Right,
Yeah, like
exactly.
jumping off a shed.
Yeah.
Hey, Shaine, I think we're getting a little feedback over there, man. I don't know if you might have headphones, but it might help you.
Yeah, usually when I do this, I'm usually not the one that has the problems. Of course, now I'm the one having problems.
Now you are.
It's always like that, man. Invite somebody on, and then everything blows up.
Yeah. Is it okay now? Maybe.
A little better.
Better.
Possibly.
Okay.
I think it's when we talk. Yeah, I think it's coming. Yeah, because it's coming through yours.
No, this is great.
Radio,
I have the levels
we're
at
podcasting or
the
broadcasting.
levels that I always have it at. So I don't know what's going on. But this is all staying in. So I'm just letting you know right now.
It's the Fed boys. They're here. You know, they're messing shit up.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about gender roles and cleaning and stuff, so it's already over. But yeah, kind of what I was saying before was the whole, like, just what they're gonna do. Because I mean, I'm sure it's something that you all also think about, is the whole, like, what are they gonna do when they grow up, I guess. And I don't know, that's just a natural thing or anything like that. I'm sure it is, because I mean, I don't know, like this whole thing. It was funny too, because we're talking about like having a son is different from having a daughter. When Nico was pregnant, like at the beginning, we're thinking, oh, you're probably gonna have a daughter. This whole time we're thinking, oh, she's gonna have a daughter. And then we found her have a son. We're like, oh shit, all right. Because I don't know how or why we thought she was having a daughter this whole time, but then we found out that she was having a son. It was kind of like the mindset was different. So okay, now before we were preparing for a girl, now we're preparing for a boy, and it's kind of like I don't know how to explain it. It's just like different mindsets that you have when you're preparing for one sex as opposed to the other, which is just, I don't know how have you all kind of prepared for that too? Is that a dumb question, or like something I can like bring up? I don't know.
There's no dumb questions, you know.
Yeah.
No, at this point, yeah, this is the point to ask those dumb questions if you think that they're dumb questions, but they're not. It all changes after. Yeah. I was not probably the most attentive husband during the pregnancy part. It's like, you know, I didn't, you know, I went to the appointments and stuff like that. It's just like, all right, well, there's things I got to do. The day after, it was different. It was just like, oh crap, like this thing will die if I'm not careful, or I need to prepare for the future, or I had my first kid, in 2001, and then I was flying them overseas to come live with me, and then 9/11 happened. Actually, their flight was September 11th, 2001. And so just thinking about the world that now will exist, that I just brought a daughter into, and it just happened so quick. And it became from like me being a selfish kind of, douchey guy to like, all right, I got to do what I got to do. It changes after. So don't feel bad if, I mean, you're doing better by thinking about it ahead of time. Me, I was just like, whatever. I'm having a kid. And we never actually knew the sex beforehand. So they were both surprises. But once it happens, it's just like,
it just like kicks in, the switch is like flipped instantly.
It's immediate.
Yeah. Then the fear.
It's immediate. As soon as you see your kid, you can't explain it. Is that everything changes? And I forget who said this originally. It was a podcast I listened to recently, that the time you want to trust a man is like in the days or months right after they have their first kid, because every decision they're going to make is the right decision, because they're making decisions based on protecting their child and also trying to create a better world for their child. So that kind of goes into like a broader topic, where I think one of the big problems in society today, I think, is that fighting age men. I waited probably too long to start having kids into my 30s, but fighting age men in your 20s, early 20s, having kids is something that we need. We have a lot of fighting age men who are, early 20s, mid 20s, late 20s, early 30s who are playing video games, and they have nothing invested.
A lot of thirsty energy out there.
Yeah, nothing invested in life. And so you get these men getting pushed around by mask mandates, pushed around by the vaccine, where if they had kids, if they had to be thinking differently, it wouldn't happen that easily. So the government has an incentive, I think, for men not to become fathers, really. So we could get into conspiracies and different things on that, but I think that's 100%.
Let's do it. Get into conspiracy. Let's go.
I will tell you for a fact, like, yeah, me and my wife often sometimes used to say, like, when our kids were younger, like, oh, we should have waited. We should have waited. I am glad we had our kids at 21. And 24 respectively. I'm glad. Because it definitely humbled me. It made my punk ass go back to school. It guided the assignments I took, the deployments I did or did not go on, and it just made me more cognizant of the fact, like, all right, well, I need to build back better for them.
Whoa!
No, don't say that. No. Talking about conspiracy theory. Talking points, the great reset talking point. No, it just made me. I'm a better man because I had kids pretty early, I guess, relatively speaking, right? I think 100 years ago I would have probably been too old. But yeah, I'm glad I had my kids when I did.
Yeah. So for our experience, I'm going to turn 33 in July 31st. I'm 33 years old. I may not look like I probably look like a 21-year-old. But I had male factor infertility. So we couldn't get pregnant the normal way, right? So we had to go through medical intervention. So what that meant for me was first they had to do a varicocele repair or surgery that was in my balls. Let's just say that it's in the balls. It's like a vein or something like that I guess, and I'm probably going to screw this up, no pun intended, where the vein, I guess, is blocked. It's like it gets too hot. I don't know how to explain it, but look it up, Google it, DuckDuckGo, whatever.
Too hot.
So anyway, sweaty balls cause.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Just Google balls and vein, and you'll be on the right track.
Turn safe search off.
Yeah. So So I had to go through that, and like after surgery, the post-op, oh boy, the recovery is a lot of fun, and I'm not saying that jokingly. Also, I had to do a testicular biopsy, which is basically they randomly surgically go into your testicles, right? And they
take part of your nuts.
Right. Yes, your nuts. Yeah. Nuts.com, promo code such and such. But no, for real, they had to do that. They randomly got fluid or areas where they thought, oh, there's some sperm in this area, so we'll go there. And then a microtesting, which is more intrusive, where they actually look. They're not just randomly poking wherever. They actually look and go, okay, this is a good place. And we go, boom, here we go. So I had to go through that. I had to go through all of that. And
yeah, you deserve a kid.
Definitely.
That's a lot. That's a lot to go through, man. I didn't have to try it that hard. I mean, my God.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy too because, like I was saying, with the post-op, the recovery, you're wearing like this, I guess a jock strap, I guess you could say, and you're wearing that for about 2 to 3 weeks. So you're basically, I really didn't go anywhere. Like walking was a fucking nightmare. And I mean, obviously it's super sensitive, so you kind of just imagine that. So that's what I had to go through.
So basically, though, you're going to have the exact same amount of pain as your wife's going to have giving birth to the kid. So you're in the same boat. You're even.
Yeah. So now I can say that I kind of know what you're going through because I had to get surgery to get my balls ripped. So there you go.
Hey. Yeah. When she wants to bring that up to you, basically, did you know what I went through? You know what I went through?
Then one day you might have it reversed.
Like that Seinfeld episode where they got to get the reverse, whatever the fuck it's called.
Vasectomy?
Vasectomy, yeah. Oh, we gotta get a vasectomy reversed. But yeah, that's basically what I had to go through. So it's not fun, as you could probably imagine. Mm-hmm. And this whole experience really kind of made us, because we've talked about this before, we're open about it. This isn't something that nobody is like completely clueless. Like, well, what the fuck? I never heard this before. People know about it. At least I hope people know about it. You kind of know about the story that we've said on the show and other areas. But yeah, like kind of like how we were saying that it's about how you said you had your kid when you were younger, and I'm gonna have my first, and I'm about to turn 33 here in the next couple of months. I mean, I guess in some ways I'm like an old man when it comes to having a child, because some people, when they try and start this era, it's like it's really difficult for them. And
well, the spirit of the age would tell you that you waited long. You've waited just the right period of time.
Yeah, man, I was 31 when I had my first one.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. This might shock you, but I'm only 32. I just turned 32. So.
Yeah. I saw your Twitter name.
Yeah, I told my wife like 35, and I said, I'm done. I can't have kids after 35. Like, I'm going to be too old to put up with their bullshit when they're teenagers. Like, I got to have some energy. Like, that was the talk. So I was like, hey, 2 little boys. And then on the last one, like Thaddeus, man, we didn't find out. And I think this is a cool thing, right? Like, it's one of the last great surprises on earth when that little thing comes out of your wife and you're like, oh, holy shit, and it's you got this moment, and I had this little girl who was going to wreck me mentally. And I was like, fuck this, I'm out. Let's go. Like the last one I can have.
It's weird too, because
good,
whenever Nico will do an ultrasound, sometimes they'll pinpoint and they'll say that, yeah, it's definitely a boy. It's for sure a boy. And I'm like, what is that supposed to mean? You're saying my kid has a big dick? Like, what are you saying? Like, I mean, really?
What are you getting
Clearly
jealous already,
it's a
bro?
boy.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So, but yeah, so like how like, and we kind of alluded to this before, but how much has becoming a father and just being a father in general, like how has that changed you in terms of what you were before to where you are now? Like, do you feel that it's been, and it seems like it is, it's been a complete, like, I guess maybe your personality's changed, or just how you feel about life in general, or has your, like, any of your political positions changed since you've had the kid as well?
I guess I'll go first. Yeah, so we had our daughter when I was 32. I'm 38 now. And we're trying to have another one now, so hopefully we do have another one. But she was like 6 months old when I started my podcast. So that's really when and I think that's one of the reasons why I did it, because, I'm wanting to have some sort of effect on what I saw what was happening in this world. What's happening?
He said it.
I don't know. I mean, it sounds generic to say, but I mean, you start thinking about the world they're going to grow up in, and even like more so now when she was little to now when she's 5.5, about to go into kindergarten, and you see all this freaking craziness happening. You just trying to have a positive impact in her life now, but also trying to prevent the catastrophe that I see coming for her generation. Sorry for the downer.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
I'll dive in on that because for me at least, time has become more important. Before I used to waste time on stupid stuff. You guys were talking about it earlier, video games and all that. It's out the window. I don't have time for it. I don't want to have time for it. I wake up every day wondering how I can maximize my time with my family, with my daughter, and help her in her growth and development. That becomes far more important. In terms of politically, I kind of said it earlier that I'm thinking about, you know, I'm following like Corey DeAngelis a lot more now on this school choice stuff going on around the nation, because I remember how I was in school. It was terrible. I hated it. When I was in high school, I got super interested in politics because everything was geared towards state testing and standardized testing. And my teachers all admitted it. They all said, like, we don't really care about what we're developing you for, because we have to make these standards. We have to meet these markers. And that's our jobs. We have to meet these standards and these markers. And if we don't meet them, you know, the schools suffer and all that stuff. It became political, and you hate it. You hate it.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty much a different human being. I mean, like you were saying there, Fritz, like the time aspect of this whole thing is like, it puts it in perspective. And my brother's got this great little narrative about jelly beans. Like, how many jelly beans out of a pack of jelly beans do you get to spend with your kids? Man, it's like 2 jelly beans. It's like 10% of your life you'll get to spend with your kids. And you're sitting there going, oh, that's so fucking sad. I don't know. I see it, and I don't know. It's cool to be a dad and be able to kind of go, oh man, I wish I would have learned this as a kid. I wish I would have learned this as a kid, and start giving your kids hacks. I mean, making things functional as well. You know, like I played football. Football doesn't translate to the real world very well growing up. It translates to like head injuries. It probably explains a lot, but like, instead of doing stuff like that, it's like, go give them jujitsu and shit, you know, give them a life skill from the very beginning. I remember my wife wanted my little girl to continue dancing after she was like 2. And I was like, you know, I don't think we're going to need a professional fucking dancer in the family, right? Like, she wants to go dance. Like, guys don't care if she's professionally trained or not. Like, they don't give a damn. But a little girl that can like snap necks and write checks and is a little badass, like, she's going to take care of some issues that I don't have to worry about. You know what I mean? So like, to be able to take them and do some things that, you know, you wish you would have had, I think that's probably one of the best pieces of advice I'd give you.
All right, that is
patient than I used to be.
Hmm.
A lot more patient, particularly with my grandkids. And it's fun when they get older and you can actually have deep philosophical conversations, and you get to see them develop their sense of self, what they see in the world, their observations. You get to kind of sometimes mold those observations, you know, because I have older kids. And just you learn the importance of not just the immediate family, but like of the extended family. One of the reasons I even live in this godforsaken hellhole is not simply because, like, you know, my wife's from here. That helped. Not because I found a good job out of the military. That helped as well. It was to live near my wife's cousins and brother, and have nieces and nephews, and that extended family structure. Now that extended family subsequently fell apart because of the disparity of the age, but like, I was very grateful to have my daughters grow up with my nieces and my nephews, and to be able to have the grandkids here to play with, you know, my other nieces and nephews and stuff. And you start to learn the importance of family, community, and then when they become older, being able to have deep philosophical discussions with them about the world. You get to tell them about the world. I get to tell them my war stories when I'm drunk. You know, about, you know, my adventures in Peshawar, Pakistan, those types of things, right? And I like that. And I'm a different person. I'm much more of a sage, much more patient. I used to yell a lot. I don't. My grandkids get away with murder, where my kids I would have, you know, water tortured them if they would have done half the things that the grandkids get away with. So I'm a lot more patient than I used to be.
Yeah, it seems that being patient is really important. And I know for me, I'm definitely not the most patient person. I mean, pretty much anyone would probably say that because I mean, especially with this whole conceiving that we've been going through and the infertility, it really tests your patience more so than we've ever kind of been through before. And because, we'll go to one test and then we'll have to wait for the results. And then we got to wait for this thing. It's just constantly waiting for what the next thing's going to be. And I think that's definitely made me for sure, like, open my eyes to this whole different, because like infertility, like that was something I hadn't even thought of, because I mean, when you're like 18 or when you're a young adult male, you're all like, I'm just gonna, have sex, whatever, bloobity blah, it's over. But that's not how it always works. It's not always 100% the way that it is. And so, yeah, I would definitely say that's something that I've been going through. And for my political positions, it's definitely, because when it came to abortion, I was kind of a little on the fence, but now with this whole thing, I'm like, I can't, at least for me personally, I can't justify abortion. So I'm 100% anti-abortion, and I'm not a big fan of the whole pro-life, pro-choice terms. I'm more of the anti-abortion, pro-abortion, because that's pretty much what it is about. It's not pro-life and then pro-choice, whatever, because everybody has choices. But when it comes to that particular issue, it's abortion. And for me, I'm 100% anti-abortion now because of this whole thing.
You become a little bit more spiritual in those aspects. You learn the preciousness of life. Like my first grandkid, I remember he had to be on oxygen, and I remember having to carry around his little oxygen and him in one hand. And he was going to make it, and he was going to be fine. But I mean, there's nothing like feeling helpless, because my second daughter had to be in the NICU for about a week. And there's no more terrifying feeling of helplessness. And you learn about the fragility of life. You learn about the fragility of life when you go to combat zones and you see how cheap life is in the rest of the world as a whole. But like, to be there and just see your daughter in like that condition and stuff like that, and you start to pray, right? I'm a fairly agnostic guy, but when you deal with those types of experience, you look toward the spiritual, you look toward the communal, you look toward whatever. And I mean, we're a lot more anti-abortion than we would be. I mean, we're you kind of don't want to be the guy that says like don't do it, but at the end of the day, my adage is, all right, you can make that decision all you want and stuff like that, but understand that is an awesome responsibility to take a life, because that is what you are doing. And you the sanctity of life becomes much, much, much more important, and you tend to, then there's the time aspect, right? Like, like we have a very limited time on this earth.
Sorry, I got to cut you off, and I know John has to go. So if you want to go ahead and just plug your stuff before you go.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no, I'll just say to jump in first off of what Thaddeus said. I think that's a great way to frame the abortion argument. Because it's hard. I mean, you're not going to say the states should intervene and start arresting doctors and mothers. At least I'm not going to say that. But I think it's a cultural issue, and it's getting women and men to understand that you're taking a life away. I mean, I don't know. I'm someone that believes that life does begin at conception. I mean, it's it's a chain of events that's starting at conception. So if you're interrupting that, you're interrupting the life. But I'm gonna have to drop off here, guys. It's been awesome getting to talk with all of you, and best of luck becoming a dad, Shaine. I'm sure you'll do awesome. And check out. I'm at Lions of Liberty. My show is called Finding Freedom every Thursday. So subscribe to our podcast, and also check out Run Your Mouth Coffee. It's the coffee brand that I started up. You can find that at rymcoffee.com, the official coffee of free speech. So, you guys have a great night. Peace.
All right, John. I'd like to have you on solo at some point.
Sounds good, man.
All right. Have a good one. All right. So, kind of what I was talking about with abortion. I mean, obviously we're men, so we have no say in all of this. But that's just how I want to say about that. That's my change, mainly, is the political
maybe add another dimension to this as well. Like there's this idea that I talk about a lot, especially I think given people and as you get a little older and you see how individuals that really are high functioning work, they're passionate, and a lot of those guys turn something like a niche into a genius type of thing, right? And that genius, I think, the world needs more of it, right? Like we need people who are extremely intelligent people who are going to do amazing things for the positive of mankind and help, lift us to better places. So we are, we make war a thing of the past and things like that. And to have the power of life and death ever in the state hands, I think is, the biggest mistake we could ever make. Because even though Republicans a lot of times will sit there and say, oh, I'm anti-abortion. Well, those guys fund abortion every time a continuing resolution comes around to $500 million plus, right? And you're sitting there like, hey, listen, I realize, we agree that abortion is bad, but we don't agree that the state should control this apparatus, because when they do control it, you're talking about 70 million lives in America alone that have absolutely been vanquished, depriving the world of a potential 70 million geniuses. And it's nuts.
Yeah, it's a pretty it's pretty crazy that you're talking about how Republicans will say one thing and then of course they'll do something completely different. It's kind of like just the whole military thing in general, how Republicans are supposed to be the pro-war party and Democrats are supposed to be the anti-war party, but of course nowadays it's just one big giant thing and they're all kind of the same when it comes to that.
War party. Yeah, they're quick to send us, because I was in the military during the time when Democrats thought that we should be, backing up the UN and Meals on Wheels. And I've been in when we thought that preemptive war was the way to handle business. Both of them like to use the military to their own devices and to put young men and women in harm's way for something that is not really tangible, in my opinion. And so, it's kind of this dichotomy with them where it's just like, well, yeah, man, don't kill babies, but also we can send men and women to the other side of the planet to kill babies. And
call it collateral damage.
That's kind of why and it's what makes me a much more libertarian than I used to be, right? And I'm still conservative. I still love guns, babies, and Jesus, but at the same time, I do understand that that I said guns, babies, and Jesus, not guns, babies, and Jesus in the hands of the state. And you become. I'm still radical. I still think hookers and blow should be a thing, but it's also something I'm not going to encourage my daughters to do, right? And it's also something.
Right.
It's something I don't want them going to prison over if they do it, but I'm going to encourage them that that's not the best course of action. And there's something I've become much more culturally aware. Spirit of the age, it's spirit of the age. A lot of these fights we're losing on the legislative side, from our state level all the way up to the federal government level. These are cultural fights that have been long lost. Someone once said, I don't know if it was Tom Woods or someone, saying basically like, what has conservatism conserved? Particularly in the hands of the GOP and godforsaken states, right? To me, it's silly, right? And I find it just infuriating that like people, particularly sometimes even in the Libertarian Party, which I'm not that big of a party guy, but I mean, don't understand that like you're in a culture war and you're getting curb stomped. That's why you can't have freedom in our time. That's why it was so easy for people to put face diapers on and become branch COVIDians. That's how easy it was. That was cultural failures. That was no men in the home. That was communities not taking care of families, but like the state interfering in that. It's all these things. It's sending your kids off to Rome and wonder why they come back Romans in the form of public education. All these are just are things that have made the culture sick and made us ripe for things like that. We should go to war with Russia, or we should do this, or we should do that. We should be hawkish about that, this and that. I mean, as opposed to being like, hey, there's a generation of veterans that could tell you that this is stupid. We should not do this. Also, take that damn diaper off your face. You're not going to die. I'm sorry, I'm ranting, but I mean, it makes me very, very, it makes me hurt for the future, particularly for grandkids, particularly for kids in general. This is going to be a tough world, particularly if you're male. And if you're perceived as, not a male of color, it's definitely going to be just minefield. And I don't think it's fair.
Yeah, it just seems like it's just more stress that's added on to what we're already stressed out about. It's just all this outside forces trying to tell you to do one thing, but you want to do something different. But the state makes it really, really hard for you to basically raise your kids how you want to, and
the culture reinforces that, unfortunately.
Right. And I know Pete Quinones was talking about this when the whole mask thing started, the whole COVID, he was like, the culture is going to be completely different. And we see how it is now. People were like complaining at the fact that the mask mandates were the CDC was like, well, you don't have to wear a mask anymore if you're vaccinated. Everyone's like, well, I'm going to keep wearing my mask because I don't want people to think I'm a such and such, or I don't want people to think I voted for Trump or something like that.
That's on some cuck shit. That's some petulant ass cuck shit, for real.
But isn't it kind of weird? But they're also using their kids. That's another thing. They're using their children, and it's not just this. It's pretty much just in general. They're using their children. Be like, well, my 5-year-old said this, and I was so proud of him for saying that. Oh, I'm so glad that we have this person in the office now. Thank you. It's like, how do we know that your kid actually said that? I think you're lying. It's like, oh, my 3-year-old said, I'm so glad that this bad man's not in office anymore.
That's right. Dude,
don't ever be that parent to use your kids as a political social shield. Don't. That's weak shit.
Ever.
Never do that.
Dude, I'll tell you right now, like when we were at Six Flags yesterday, like things down here have really like they can't stop it. Like it's gone back. Six Flags, an amusement park with, big ties to, themes like DC, Warner Brothers, and all that kind of shit. It was like, no, you don't have to wear shit around here. Right. And so like you still have some very few people wearing the mask over their actual mouth while they're in the park out in the sunshine having a fucking good time. Right. And like, you're like, I don't get it. But then you also have the dipshits who are wearing it under their chin, like South Park. And, it's like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, I mean, seriously, you came out to the park with a mask to virtue signal the fuck that you still watch the news, but you're like, I don't fucking really believe them, but I'm still not those guys. So like what it's all bullshit at this point. And I got to tell you, the majority of people that I saw, and I mean, it was everybody everywhere, everything that exists in Atlanta, which is everything, was at Six Flags, and they were all maskless, and they were all like, no, this is some dumb shit, man. That pendulum, it's swinging, guy. I'll tell you what, in terms of like the whole like white pill stuff, like I am a big believer now that because we stayed peaceful for the past fucking year and some change, like I think good things are coming for the liberty movement.
Well, I mean, this is a perfect opportunity for them. I mean, 2016 was a good opportunity for them, and I guess depending on who you talk to, they blew it. 2020 was a good opportunity as well. They blew it according to who you're talking to.
No, it's completely blown. Completely blown. The fact of the matter is, you should
100%
anti-COVID. You should have been anti-COVID, and Spike should have been a lot more open about his illegal events, and it should have been in your face. We are not going to lock you in your home. We're not going to keep you from your business. You should have been like the governors that basically enforce these mandates and close down these schools, and it's causing all this suicide and depression and allowing all these rallies to happen. These governors should be brought up on war crimes.
Goddamn right.
Because it's silly. I mean, crimes against humanity. I mean, just sitting at the Hague with their head hung low, whatever. Even that sexy ass Gretchen Whitmer. I'm sorry, Gretchen Whitmer's hot. But even her in the clink, with the translators being like, I was only following orders or whatever the hell. Now you going to jail because you done fucked up Michigan.
Oh man!
And then you took your pretty ass down to Florida when you locked your people away.
Does she look like the mom off of Home Improvement?
Oh wow!
No,
like a more stretched out version of it, I guess.
He said something about.
I don't know. Maybe it's the black hair. Maybe it's the black hair. Maybe it's
all those white people look alike anyway.
Yeah.
How dare you?
You said it, not me. No,
that's why I love this crowd. We can have fun. Like, look, people, like, look at us. Look around. It's like, have fun for
this
God's
is America.
Sake. Learn how to live
again. This is America. God damn it!
That's right.
Hell yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Oh man. So where were we?
I don't even remember. You were talking about Home Improvement, I think, or something like that.
That's right. The dumb bitch from my home state, and so happened to be Home Improvement as well.
Home, yeah. No, I don't know. I'll take another look. I'll have to see.
Google that. But no, man, you talk about fumbling the ball, though. I mean, if there was any prime example I could think of, the government told people you're not essential, you're staying home. Here's a $1,200 check that should hold you over for the next year, you know. And meanwhile, we're not going to hold sessions. We're still going to collect our, triple digit,
not miss a
six-figure salary. We're not going to miss a day. We're even going to vote from our freaking yachts, when we're
give themselves a freaking raise.
Yep.
Yeah, state budgets actually were in line or had surpluses. Like, how the fuck is that possible? No one was working.
Brian fucking Kemp came out and talked about how they raised like an extra $3 or $4 fucking billion in taxes in Georgia in 2020, and I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me? How goddamn tone deaf could you be to come out and say you took more money from people you shut the fuck down for a year?" Oh God, I'll tell you what.
That's the GOP, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, he's got the R next to his name. That's my boy. Whoop, whoop.
That guy is going
right. If he had a D next to his name, then I'll say something about it. But he has an R. Oh hell yeah!
Then I'll be like, oh no, that's crazy. That's fascist shit. That's communist. That's commie shit. Whatever. No, I'm glad I'm in a state where the GOP is completely ineffectual, and so I don't expect anything. Right?
You got to worry about the You got to worry about the D, and I don't mean the dick.
Yeah, dude. Her Majesty MLG is quite the piece of work. We were hoping that she would get a cabinet level position. She did not. So we're stuck. And of course, it's a funny thing about my state too is they instantly go after oil and gas, which is weird because 25 to 30% of the surplus in our budget that is paying for education and other things comes from oil and gas. But now we're going to do the renewables thing. And you kind of sit here and just tilt your head. It's just like, well, where's the money going to come from, guys, for these schools that are failing and we're suspending whole school boards for corruption? I mean, where are we going to get this money, right? We need more for education. 45 to 50% of the budget in any given year goes to education. What more do you want?
So what do you think about all the parents that are asking for the schools to open back up so they can have their kids go back to indoctrination camps?
Why?
Okay, that is an absolute failure on the I would never thought I would see the GOP, MAGA, conservative, we need school choice, government schools suck, begging the very state to take back their children to indoctrinate them. That is a failure.
Yeah.
This is your opportune time, Republicans. You should have jumped on it a long time ago. It's not too late. It's not too late.
Some states did. But most fail.
I feel like saying it's not too late. I feel like it's like how many times are we gonna have to say it's not too late before they're just completely hopeless and useless? Because I don't know. I'm sure back in the 70s, like it's not too late. It's not too late for the GOP to such and such do something. And now we're here back in this present time, we're saying, hey, it's not too late for the GOP to do something about this. Because I don't know. There's like what
every election year is an opportunity for the LP.
Right. Yeah, I know exactly. Yeah.
2022. That's it. He's like, all right, well, we'll see. I just helped the campaign here. I need to see where. Because Chris Manning's running for the congressional seat that Deb Haaland abandoned to go be an interior secretary or
Designer?
whatever sub department. Some cabinet level position that is unconstitutional. And so we had a special election today. We'll see how the LP held up. I tried my best to help out the party. I, ran some websites, did some fundraising in my own way, and we'll see. But I'm not very confident.
I know Shaine has to go, so Shaine, you go ahead and give your plugs.
You can find me at Shaine T. Hazel on Twitter. That's where I have the most fun. And I mean, seriously, everything else is gravy at this point. Thank you guys for having me. Shaine, best of luck. If you need advice, man, let me know. Like I could sit here and talk about kids for days and days and days. I'm surprised I haven't done it in other podcasts as much. So great seeing you guys. Appreciate it. And,
we'd love to have you on at some point for sure.
Sure, man. Anytime, right. Guys. Take care.
All right. Have a good one, Shaine.
All right. Good night.
Peace.
All right.
And then there were three. Well, I don't know, man. I guess we should kind of wrap it up here. Yeah, no, right?
And then there were three. It's like Genesis. Started with 5, and now there's 3. That's a reference that like 2 people.
What else? Do you have any other questions? Yeah, if any other questions or any other concerns or anything like that. I mean,
well, I guess we can wrap it up since everyone's leaving me. Because I'm lonely. No, I'm kidding.
It's not you, it's us.
Yeah, that's probably what it is. Yeah. So, okay. So, like I was saying to wrap it up, just because I know you've been kind of saying about what it's like being a parent, and especially with all the COVID stuff and how it's kind of changed your mentality on things and how it was like when you first had your kid. So what has been the thought process in terms of, because that, as you said, that I'm pretty sure you said that all your kids are pretty much grown and everything like that. I'm sure it's always going to be something in the back of your, because I would just say a quick story. Like for me, I know when I was, and I'm sure this is also possibly your experience, but when I was a teenager, I was probably the worst kid you could possibly imagine. I didn't go to jail or anything, but I was not a great teenager. I tried to get in trouble all the time, and I was not good in school. I don't know. Maybe I was rebellious. Maybe I don't know. Maybe that was my early libertarian days. I have no idea what was going on in my head. But is that also something that you kind of think about in terms of just how it's going to be? Because you want your kids to also take care of you when you get older. Because when you're in your senior years and everything, it's like, I hope you're good enough. We still have a good relationship to the point where you'll actually want to help take care of me too.
Yeah, I don't like to put that obligation on them. Not like
obligation to. I'm just kind of saying, like, I want to have that relationship to the where if you do get to that point, then it won't be like, well, I don't have a relationship with them at all. You want to have that relationship for all time, because obviously there's going to be parents and children out there who don't have any relationship, and it's always going to be a complete mess.
Yeah, I want to kind of just maintain the matriarch thing me and my wife have going. Like, so when the girls my 2 girls here inevitably leave, I need them to know they can come back. I need them to know they can drop the grandkids off. I need them to know that we're not drop kicking them out of the house right away. Mm-hmm. But it's kind of like my family back in the South, because I'm from South Carolina originally, and until my grandmother passed away a couple years ago, she was the matriarch of the family, and everyone who came into town or did anything went there. That's where everyone congregated. When Grandpa died, that's where we congregated.
Yeah.
I think as I'm getting into that stage, I just want to be that to all the girls and the grandkids and the nieces and the nephews. It's like they could always come here. They could always do whatever. We'll always help them. You always worry about what they will become once they're out of the nest. But you always make sure you maintain that lifeline for them. And that's what you're going to have to remember. Don't push too hard, push enough, but set expectations. but always make sure that you can at least be the safety valve if they kind of fall flat.
What about you, Fritz?
A lot of it is focusing on, how I want to be as a father to my daughter. And it might sound silly, but like I kind of fight in my head with myself because my father passed away when I was 4 years old. So I grew up most of my life without that figure there. And right before my daughter was born, I had this sense in me, like I had these demons in my head going like, you didn't have that father figure. You're not going to be able to, be a good father because you didn't have that upbringing. And it's silly. It melted away the day she was born. And I know I put my best foot forward every day. And each day's a new day. And this is an evolutionary process. It's not, you can't plot out and cookie cut her life. I can't do that. But I know that I can be a supportive parent, that I can build that relationship, that trust, and that I can foster something that I didn't get to have growing up, through fault of no one. It's just something that I didn't have as a child. And I know since I was deprived of that, since I didn't have that, I know how I want to be imparting that into my children.
Yeah, I think that's important because I know one of the things that we want to do is the whole peaceful parenting, and I think that's a pretty important aspect of it as well. Is to because you see some people tweeting, and I know I don't know if it's tongue in cheek or if they're being serious or not, but I think it's a really important message as well. Is that you want to have kids so that you can also give them the life lessons that you learned, and also give them a life that you didn't have, and try and give them the best life possible. And I think that's the most important aspect, I think. And I know I was joking around, and like I was saying before, you guys were making fun of me because I was saying, oh, I'm going to have a kid. Oh my gosh, what's going to happen? But I think even now with having a kid, kind of going with you two having like, hey, you have kids and everything like that, you still think about those things, like what's going to happen about, like what the future holds or anything like that. And so that's kind of what I wanted to get out of this, was just to know how you guys kind of did it, so that maybe I can take some of the lessons that you guys talked about here or just mentioned, and then I can kind of do it my own way, but have the influence of what you guys were saying. So
Yeah, you're always going to worry.
Yeah.
So you need to come to grips with that. Be at peace with that. Every day till the day you die, you'll worry. But that's a good thing. And if you do your job right, the worry subsides somewhat, but you're always worried. But it's part of the job.
100%. Yeah. You're going to have that, and you're going to have high expectations for yourself, but you got to remember you're not perfect, and you're learning just as much as your child's learning.
Yeah, that's a good takeaway. So we'll go and just end it there. So Fritz, you can go ahead and plug anything that you'd like about where they can find you.
Gotcha. I run around on Twitter a lot at FritzQS. And then if you search Fritzcast, you'll find my podcast on pretty much anywhere you can find podcasts.
Thaddeus?
Well, I am the co-host of the American Council for Truth and Journalism, formerly the Armenian Council for Truth and Journalism. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube. I am at Nick Way on Twitter. We are at BACTJ on Twitter. And we're revamping and relaunching a couple of things just so we can, spit hot fire, get in trouble with Facebook, YouTube, and the like. And yeah, thank you for your service. Isn't gone yet, guys. We're going to bring it back. I just need to get the band back together. That's all.
All right. Well, thank you so much, guys, for coming on. And thanks to John and Shaine for also coming on. I really appreciate you guys' insight, and I also appreciate the jokes and the lightheartedness. So I really appreciate that. And to everyone watching, listening, thank you so much for all the support. We really appreciate it. And we will see you in the next one. Have a good one.